I'm Roy, and this is the story of owning and sailing my Moody 31 yacht, Mistress Q. Based at Instow on the North Devon coast, it is the highs and lows of cruising in the Bristol Channel and beyond, where every passage is a new adventure. The opportunity to visit Padstow for the Obby Festival and then the Isles of Scilly for the World Pilot Gig Championships was too good to miss. So it was on a cool and blustery day we departed from Instow on the first 50-mile leg to Padstow. Andy and Sonia join me on this passage. With the strengthening wind from the northeast, this was a quick passage, taking just over 8 hours in 4.6 to 4.7, occasionally gusting to 4 stays. The biggest test was on entering the Camel estuary under full sail, with wind over tide on the Doom bar causing a nasty chop which saw us lose 2 full-width battens from the mainsail. A good lesson learned to always respect the conditions. We were able to recover the situation at anchor off Polzeath while we waited for the gate at Padstow Harbour to open. Once safely inside the harbour, rafted up alongside another Moody 31 from Instow, called Patron, we quickly forgot the conditions outside and enjoyed a very welcome beer. So welcome to Padstow and Obby Festival, which you can hear in the background. This has been going on since midnight last night, which is why all the people taking part are sounding a bit like my voice this morning. Yeah, we're here from Instow for a couple of nights and then going to enjoy the festival today and hopefully make onward passage down to St Mary's tomorrow. The origins of Padstow's annual Obby Festival on May Day are unknown, but the modern festival attracts lots of visitors and seems like a good idea for a 24-hour party, starting the night before and continuing all day on the 1st of May. Two separate processions, the red and the blue, cavort around the town, each with a hobby horse, prodded by teasers as they try to catch young maidens as they progress through the town, singing traditional songs, accompanied by accordions and drums, with frequent stops, of course, at many of the pubs. The two Obby horses finally meet at the Maypole before returning to their respective stables where the crowd sing Obby Horse Death until its resurrection the following year. It's completely bonkers, but also very good-natured. Great fun, helped of course by copious amounts of alcohol. Eight boats from North Devon Yacht Club made the trip to Padstow, with Eric seen here making a tidy job of parking the Razzler. By evening, the party was once again in full swing. It was going to be a long night ahead. It was an early departure from Padstow the next day to make the most of the ebb tide as we headed southwest on our 73-mile passage to St Mary's in the Isles of Scilly. The weather was set fair with light winds from the south and thankfully with improving visibility as we made progress. Sunrise.
And some mist or fog patches will develop in places. Light readers for London, including the Isles of Scilly, 24-hour forecast. Very long, 2 to 4. Smooth or slight.
Crossing the northern TSS off Land's End does need some care, but is nowhere near as difficult or busy as the English Channel at TSS off France. By all means call me old school, but I still like to maintain a paper log of the passage and also use paper charts in addition to Navionics on my phone and the chart plotter. It was a 14-hour passage, arriving to anchor off St Mary's Harbour in the evening. I didn't fancy arriving after dark, especially as this was my first visit to the Scillies. I've waited a long time for the right conditions to sail Mistress Q to the Isles of Scilly, and now hoped the weather would hold for our island adventure, and planned return in around about 5 days' time. The Isles of Scilly are an unspoiled subtropical archipelago located 28 miles off the coast of Cornwall. Comprising 5 inhabited islands, St Mary's, Tresco, St Martin's, Briar and St Agnes, and over 140 uninhabited ones. They are renowned for the white sandy beaches, crystal clear waters and a refreshingly slow pace of island life, except when the gig festival is on. The main reason for our visit was the World Pilot Gig Championships based in St Mary's. Being an ex-gig racer, Andy was in his element and knew the best places to go to meet the team and see the racing from a vantage point close to the finish line.
What money you got?
Okay, so the Padstow Bay, you can just see here in the trees. And then the second place where we couldn't call it at the moment, we've got Amazon on the outside there. And then on the inside, we have got Albert Jenkins on the outside there. So it's all to pay for.
That's probably their beaker. Because the Carradine crew will be
Come on, Appledore! Come on, Whitford! After an afternoon of watching the gig races, we lifted the anchor and motored over to St Agnes, partly escaped the hordes of gig races on St Mary's, and we booked a table at the Turk's Head where we could enjoy a meal looking out at Mistress Quay at anchor just off the slipway. I think I may have underestimated the size of the spare ribs. The following morning we motored back over to St Mary's Harbour for fuel. We saw the Salonian arrive in harbour before we departed, taking the long route around the south of the islands to find a mooring in New Grimsby Sound, lying between Tresco and Briar. By this time the day had warmed up, the Fowleys were abandoned in favour of shorts, and the cockpit table and cushions came out. So, welcome to Tresco in New Grimsby Sound. After the excitement of the World Gig Racing Championships yesterday on St Mary's, we went over to St Agnes for the night and had an excellent meal in the, and Andy's laughing at me now, excellent meal.
Try not to laugh.
I have to start again, I've lost my thread.
Oh, no. I think you should have let that roll for me.
Okay, so welcome to New Grimsby Sound. After the excitement of the World Pilot Gig Championships yesterday on St Mary's, we motored over last night to St Agnes and had an excellent meal in the Turk's Head. And this morning, although we've got northerly winds, we've come around the outside of the islands and back into the top, the northern end of New Grimsby Sound, and have picked up one of the visitor moorings just off Tresco. So the itinerary and the idea this afternoon is that we'll have a wander around Tresco, not Tesco, and I've already booked a meal this evening in the pub. And if we've got time, then we'll have a look at Briar, but that might have to wait until tomorrow. In the afternoon we split up. I went for a run around the northern end of Tresco, past King Charles's Castle, overlooking New Grimsby Sound, with Mistress Q on a visitor mooring. Then met up with Andy and Sonia again at the ruined beach cafe, overlooking Old Grimsby. The following morning we made the short trip at high water back to St Mary's, past the cruise ship Fram, to St Mary's Harbour, where we met up with Rob from Appledore on the quay, collected some extra provisions and made use of the shower before picking up a visitor mooring. Now the hordes of gig racers had finally departed and St Mary's was recovering from its hangover. Our final island stop was St Martin's in the north, with its white sandy beaches and peaceful atmosphere. This was our favourite island, made extra special as Mistress Q was the only yacht in the anchorage off Higher Town Bay. After a visit to the pub, we had pre-booked a table at Adam's Fish and Chips, just walking distance from the beach. All too soon we raised the anchor the following day to commence our 24-hour passage back overnight to Instow. We left St Martin's this morning at 8 o'clock and it's now 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so we're about 8 hours into this passage from St Martin's in the Scillies back to Instow. The winds have been really light and quite variable, force 2, force 3. Currently we're really just ghosting along at a little over 6 or 7 knots true, and putting around 4 knots through the water at the moment. But we've got plenty of time in hand. The sun is shining, wind is from the north, although it's a little bit cool, and we're making pretty good progress to arrive in Instow at high water tomorrow morning, something after 10 o'clock. What have we got tonight, Andy?
Tonight we have aubergine, mushroom and red pepper pasta penne.
Sounds fantastic, thank you.
With whole black peppercorns.
Oh, even better.
For a bit of, as we forgot to buy the chilies, which is a hideous mistake. But it'll do. It's hot.
Looking forward to it. How's that, all right?
Absolutely delicious.
It's now 0100 and I'm on watch, having taken over from Andy. I'll be on watch until 0300. We're still making good progress. We are now some 17 hours into this 23-hour passage from the Isles of Scilly to Instow. We've got light variable winds which have swung around now to the south or the southeast, around about 10 or 11 knots. We've got the main out and the Genoa and the engine running in the background just to help us maintain an average speed of around about 5 knots over the land. We shall be rounding Heartland Point in about 3 hours time, and then the final leg over to Bideford Bar, to the Bellboy, and then into the channel and the mooring in Instow. Daybreak, and more smaller bottlenose dolphins, defined by the long smiling beak and hooked dorsal fin. Unless that is you know differently, so too please let me know. Finally, Bideford Bay, heading towards the Bellboy safe water mark, and the Channel Transit over the sandbar leading to the Tor and Torridge estuary. It's always reassuring to see Appledore lifeboat, especially the new Shannon all-weather boat just arrived on station, which will take over from the current Tamar class lifeboat once crew training is complete. Thanks for watching, and join me again on my next sailing adventure.